Welcome to Tell the Damn Story, the show that explores the many ways to navigate the successes and failures that aspiring and struggling writers face to make your journey that much easier. Okay. Yes, I am leading this nonsensical trek into the technological world that is AI. Hey, bro, how are you? I didn't even know you were here. Hi, come on in. Welcome. Namaste. Okay, good stuff. Welcome, everybody. Pardon us. I believe, what time is it?
3:06.
I'm sorry, we're starting 6 minutes late. You know how punctual we are around here. Okay. Welcome to the panel on AI in the arts, a boom or doom. Yeah, okay. Okay. I am Alex Simmons. I am a writer of renown. I've worked for DC, Marvel, Archie. I've created a number of independent projects of my own, called Blackjack being one of them. I also wrote Tarzan. Yes, I did. Yeah, so we'll deal with that later. And I'm here to moderate these other two wonderful people. The first being she who was here on time.
Oh, wow.
Hang on. Yes, go ahead.
I am Micheline Hess. Started as a colorist at Milestone, and now I'm here. LOL. I do Malice in Ovenland. I've done books, Mia and Friends, and I've also done a Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf.
Thank you. By the way, the man watching us, I'm going to introduce to him right after we talk to this gentleman here. This gentleman is
Shawn Alleyne, and I just want y'all to know that bus full of nuns on fire was not going to save itself, and I had to do what I had to do, so I'm a little late, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They're all safe, no applause necessary, but
and you won't get any. Thank you. Thanks, sis. Thanks.
Anybody would have done it. So I am a full-time freelance artist. I'm an instructor. I teach a trauma-based art program in the Juvenile Detention Center, and I recently opened up my own studio at Cherry Street Pier. If anybody's in Philly, yeah. So, you know, I'm just honored to be here with these amazing people. So, yeah.
That part saved you. The gentleman above and off to my right is my good friend of 30 plus years, Mr. Christopher Ryan. Chris, and I will tell you why he's here in a moment. Chris, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Simmons is lying. We've known each other over 40 years. So,
yeah, but I'm not that old, really.
He is known for lying about his age. I'm Chris Ryan. I'm a hybrid author, which means I've published independently and traditionally. I'm also a publisher of Soul Scream Anthologine, which is a gateway publication for hybrid horror. Anybody could read it, probably from like 7th grade on. And I am the co-host of over 400 episodes of Tell the Damn Story with the one, the only, the legendary icon that is Alex Simmons.
Stop.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris and I have known each other a great many years, and we've been very, very fortunate to not only work together in the field and separately, but also to be able to come together and create a forum in which not only can we share our experiences, but we've had a number of artists, some of them even from ECBOC. You haven't been on the show, but I'm going to talk to you about that.
Fix it.
Yeah, right. I'll fix it. Don't worry, Chris. I got it. But anyway, the idea is to share our journeys or their journeys so that they make yours a little bit easier. And thankfully, once again, ECBOC has invited us back here to talk about, again, AI in the arts, boom or doom. So, to start off, I want to allow the panelists to express themselves, including Chris, and each will take a turn to express a little of how you feel about AI in whichever lens you want to look at it through. So why don't we start out with... Can we get that on film?
Oh gosh. I think AI as a thing is going to be ubiquitous to just about everything going forward. I went in for a brain scan, don't laugh. I went in for a brain scan one time, and it ended up being like the prognosis or whatever was done by AI and signed off by a person, which is a little creepy, but I can see how it's sort of trickling through everything, spell check and syntactical checks and things like that. I am diametrically opposed to using generative AI in arts or storytelling for that matter. I think there's a lot of ways that AI can be helpful. It can be used to help you figure out how you're going to set up your Kickstarter campaign. It can be used to help you set up your schedule, in terms of your creation process. It can be used in a lot of different ways, but I don't feel okay with using it because it's not me, and it's also stealing from other artists too. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Shawn.
I think this is a conversation that's going to be fluid. It's going to be forever changing. The artist in me that is a self-taught artist that was, came up from just scribbling and slowly building my characters and a person who loves the creative process, I was vehemently against it. However, I'm also a realist. I'm also a human being. I'm also a person that I like to see both sides of the argument, right? And it makes me think about what people say as far as little sin, big sin, right? So I think we all as adults can say, hey, if a person comes in here and interrupts us and say, oh, y'all are stupid, and runs back out, hey, that's messed up, right? If some person came in here and ran up and slapped Alex, that's a little worse, right? Which we would never allow, Alex.
Yeah, I would hope you would take the slap for me, but okay.
Sure. And, but, so they are, realistically, there are big sins, little sins, right? So how much do you use AI? If we say, hey, well, we're against AI and this thing is evil and steals from artists and all that, and I'm not coming at you, I'm just being general, those are the arguments, right? But you say, hey, I'm just going to use it to do this. Or I'm just going to, I'm a writer, I'm just going to use it to edit. You're still using it. So it's like either you're going to be against it and not use it at all, or you are going to utilize it in a certain way. And then what does that mean? So I don't think it's a black and white type of answer. I
don't bring race in.
You're right. You're right. It's not as clear cut as people might say or want to make it think. I do go to the big sin, little sin for people that are not creatives. And you're just trying to find a shortcut to make some money. You don't draw, you don't write, you don't understand the process of spending time trying to come up with those right words and that right sentence structure. And you're just trying to do this thing, get the hell out of here. I was at an event and I was vending next to this lady that had these dope wine coolers with artwork of different musicians on it, right? And it had a Bluetooth speaker attached. And you could take it to the beach, put your little wine in there or whatever. I don't drink, but And I said, oh my God, this is dope. I might gotta get one of these. And you could program the Bluetooth to play the music of the artist that was on the bottle. I was like, oh my God. I said, who did the artwork? She was like, I did. I said, oh, that's, I'm an artist too. She said, well, I use AI. I said, I thought you said you did the artwork. She was like, well, I told it what to do, so technically I did it. I almost did what you did. I was like, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about?
She's still looking for that Bluetooth.
That's extreme. For the person that is a creator, but is like, oh man, I'm stuck on this one thing. Mm-hmm. Let me, say, ChatGPT, what would be an alternative to this? And you're already in the process. I can't necessarily say that person is wrong. So I think it's a complex, in some cases, it is more complex than we want to make it. I'm torn.
I hear you. Chris, you're up.
I want to build on what has been said before, and I want to expand if I can. The art industry says visual and writing, no AI. I agree with that. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that people use AI for research. So what if you get the assignment to write to draw an Irish ship, right, vessel from the 1880s? You can go to the old books, or can you, for research, look that up? It's unclear. I think we need guidance on that. I also would like to point out that you can see commercials everywhere now where AI is part of business. There was a commercial, some guy got hired, he had 10 years experience, and they were mocking him because he was using old stuff. And in 2 or 3 weeks, he took an AI course and he got the #1 account and all that. I mean, they're not even hiding it. They're encouraging it. So the creative industry is in a position, if they stay so tight on AI, to be left behind on business and marketing and promotion. I'm not saying we should jump into AI. I think we need like a committee or a policy what body or whatever to say, okay, this is what we will agree with and won't agree with. Because there are so many things that we don't know whether we can utilize or not. And if there's any usage of any AI, there's a chance of us getting smacked. I got smacked recently because there was a promo ad that I was related to, but I had done the promo ad, and one of my writing clients nearly fired me because she doesn't want anywhere near AI. I didn't know, one, about the ad, or two, that AI was used, and really had to go through hoops of fire to, to calm her down and to figure out what was the right way to proceed. AI is surrounding us. It is going to overwhelm us. We really need to get some policy decisions made so we know what we're going to do to stay competitive with the rest of the world. There's movies now being made. There's just a staircase and a ramp and gray. And they're going to put everything else using CGI and AI. They're going to make the rest of the movies. So they're going to produce a $20 million movie for like $3 million. How long until that equivalent is in the comics industry and the publishing industry? And it may already be here. So I think there's a lot more questions than answers. And I'm uneasy about all things AI.
I will add my 12 cents to this by also pointing out everything that everybody said, as far as I'm concerned, is valid. I think absolutely there's a lot of conversation to be had about it, but I'm also going to throw this one on the table. I've said to hundreds of people over the past 12 years who are artists like some of you are, you're exploring a world with your passion. Your passion is art, is creativity. You draw well, or you write well, or you make things with your hands, and your artistry is blooming that way. But you're also an entrepreneur, which means now you have to understand business, marketing, packaging, and if you're using the web, analytics, data processing, right? And if you don't have fat wallets, you are wearing multiple hats, and most of them poorly, because that's not your thing. It's not what you're meant to do. In the old world, you hired marketing specialists, you hired advertising people, you hired an accountant, you hired those things, and you paid, and your business sank or swam. Right, that was it. So now we're in a position where many of us, and I count myself in this as well, I know what I don't do well. I know what I do fairly well, and I know what I'm really good at. Here's a tool that can support some of the things I don't do well. What am I supposed to do? Not use it? So that's one. Two, mankind has a history. I'm sorry, let me be non-gender specific. Humankind has a history of not being able to ever put a genie back in the bottle. It's already out. The chimpanzees have fully loaded automatic weapons and their fingers are on the trigger. So to me, a lot of what the questions are that we're talking about are ethical, and not everybody thinks ethically. So what do we do is the question for me. How do each one of us approach this realm yes, I've seen enough science fiction movies to know where this could go. But here it is. What do we do? How do we either combat it, regulate it, or cut ourselves off from it? And then what does that lead to?
I think that has to be the thing, regulation. Like
Chris.
like Chris said.
That's the guy right there.
I think so. It's going to take responsibility from all the different facets of the industry. So for one, convention owners, they should be surveying the product that is being sold, and I think it should be a percentage of AI, right? And when I say percentage, so let's say that you are a writer artist and you want to put out a comic book, right? And you know, I don't think a lot of people realize how expensive it is to produce a comic book. Somebody will hit me up, hey Shawn, yeah, you know, I got this amazing idea. It's genius, right? With your art, my idea, we're going to make millions. I said, okay, well, you know, it's going to cost. Okay, well, how much? Well, it's going to cost this much. What? You know, and they're stunned. But let's say that you are a writer or artist, you're doing something, and you want to do you're looking for like research. For instance, I've used AI. I know. But you know, I think we're all adults. We can be honest here, right?
Yes, right. Just wash your hands, please.
So okay, so and I think I'm pretty good at what I do, right? And I was working on this character. I was trying to get this character. And I said, okay, boom. Everybody's talking about this AI. Let me try it out. And I put in the description. It showed me an image. And I was like, that's dope. And I drew the image then. Now I still did it. But I'm not going to then turn around and be like, oh, somebody else used AI. Oh my God! But are we talking about big sin, little sin again? You know what I mean? So I think it should be a percentage. Now, like I said, if you're a creator and you cannot draw and you cannot write and you're using AI to do everything, you shouldn't be allowed to be at a comic book convention.
Okay.
You shouldn't be allowed to sell this product. You should take what AI has crafted or drafted. Take that then to an artist, because I offer different rates on my website of like, if this is from scratch, you need me to help you design everything, it's going to cost this much. If you come to me with a character already designed, it's going to cost less because you already did a lot of the work. So you got to find the right artist that's going to work with you if you're not a creator. I think too, we got to be careful as humans that we are getting lazier and we're going to get more stupid by the day, the more that we rely on these things. I think a lot of people we want to get so quick to the end product, right?
That the process doesn't matter.
The process doesn't matter anymore, and this is what we got to get back to. We got to get to falling in love with the process more and just working our brains and being creative. And it's not even us, the next generation, they're already cooked.
Yeah.
Well,
so we gotta.
I can fight for the next generation, but I want to give Madam Hess a little bit more time. Is there anything you want to add to this?
You know, it's overwhelmingly there's this kind of line that I hear from. It's weird, you know. I go on Instagram and I see like the little heads of people, and it's like so and so artist that you're friends with just picked up Meta AI, and it's like it's like the what was that guy, the Iron Indian that was sitting in the trash.
Iron Eyes Cody.
Yeah, Iron Eyes Cody.
Hey, I know we're close. You know,
there's this kind of like join up or you're going to be destroyed kind of thing. And I hear it spoken a lot, like there's change coming and a lot of y'all aren't. This is things that people have said to me. There's change coming and a lot of y'all aren't going to be able to keep up. Like a lot of y'all aren't going to make it. And it's like, well, what does that mean? And why are you so giddy about it? You know? Because they're, you know, and then I hear like the accessibility argument, but I just feel like from a standpoint of information, like there's a lot of information that was already there. I think AI sort of packages it and lays it out in a really smooth way, but it's also important to check the sources.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine who's an attorney in the West Indies was telling me that like some of the younger attorneys are kind of getting like wrapped on the knuckles because they're citing AI for cases and things like that, but they're not
There've been
checking
cases
their
thrown out of
sources.
court because of that. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I don't want to be like AI bad, because I think it does have a lot of potentially positive and useful and helpful implications, but Yeah, I kind of feel like I need to be at a distance from it, sort of like poke, and sort of see what happens because, yeah, it seems like something that could easily be very Terminator-y, in my
Well,
opinion.
Again, Hiroshima. Yeah, you got that one. I know Chris has something on to add, but I also want to say this experience, as far as I'm concerned, I would like it to be a yin yang, give and take. So please, if you have questions or thoughts or anything that you want to share, we've started it. So please feel free to raise your hand or jump up and dance or whatever. Don't jump up and dance.
You know what? I'm not an artist, nor do I write stories. My husband does. But I utilize AI for writing things that may be legal, that may be business, that may be things like that. If I go and buy a piece of artwork, I want authenticity. I want the person that did the work. I don't want nothing drawn by AI, because AI, they can do anything. My husband signs his work, and that's how I can tell the authenticity of the work. Because if that's the case, I can take his work, go make copies, and then sell it to everybody else. I want authenticity, and I think the way to regulate it is to go ahead and when the person presents their work, say, okay, well, a portion was it's done by AI. If it was, what percentage of it was it done by AI? Because if it's done by percentages, okay, well, 20 to 30% of it by AI, then you only get this amount. You know what I'm saying? So if you get it, if it's authenticity, okay, I have paintings, okay, maybe worth $1,000. My husband's work, maybe it's worth $1,000, but he took the time and energy to go ahead and meticulously do it. So I feel like AI would take that away from him, and I don't want nobody taking away his hard work. I don't. I really don't.
By the way, when she starts reprinting and selling your stuff, make sure you get your cut. Okay. just checking on that. And this brother had his hand up, and then you. Okay. Yes.
So I have two sides to this that I like to kind of throw out there. One, I work with children, so I've been teaching them to use it as a tool. Like, I have a young teenager, she loves working with programs. So I literally sat down with her and had a conversation about time versus effort versus resources. How do we get all this together? Let's take this ChatGPT, talk about it, how much time we put in. We were able to come out with a full schematic of this is how much she uses her time, and this is how much she should charge. So I'm like, this is how you use this tool. All right, and it is a tool, and I was trying to make sure that they understand that you can use a tool correctly or incorrectly. But another thing I'm thinking of is the fact of the creator forbid anything take place to an artist. What if you can't use your hands? What if you can't use these abilities that you have crafted over these years, but you can take what you've already created and sit down and say, you know what, do this, because this is also the possibility of AI. You can craft it to its using your own tools, your own ideas. So
I was thinking about that.
So that's, I'm just, just throwing it out there that these are the other things that need to be discussed, because I'm looking around just to see all the faces.
And nobody's coming up behind you, brother. Don't worry about it.
I got you.
Yes.
Okay, so I think if somebody's handicapped, then there's, just like there's a lane for handicapped parking, there should be a lane for people who utilize AI because they have a handicap. You know what I'm saying? So they won't be discriminated against. I don't think I would want to use it to discriminate against. I think people who still try to do their artwork, and they're not able to use their hands. I'm like, look, I'll back you up. But the thing about it is, let us know that, okay, I'm handicapped. I had to use AI. Part of this, 50% is authenticity. Some of it's not, I had to speak into a microphone, and so I can go ahead and tell the story and do whatever needs to be done.
Thank you. This gentleman here, and then, yes, Carla. And then I want to give Chris a moment. Yeah.
I can understand people say that digital AI artwork is generic. But I'm wondering, like, can it be able to sort of like, like for instance, you're doing a comic book, everybody basically have their own style. Can you replicate that style, with the AI? Because, you're going to have to do an ongoing series, you have to engage in mass production.
Yeah, you could. I mean, one of the most popular AI trends was imitating the work of Hayao Miyazaki, who does Studio Ghibli work, and he hates that that's happening. I don't know. I heard they were like taking some kind of legal action, but I don't know. Like,
is that any different than sampling?
Yes.
You know, when people, no,
Yeah.
I'm no, you know, is
I'm
it?
talking about
so.
like, it's like you take an artwork and you constantly feed it into the computer, into the AI, it got the information. So like in the future, like when you're not able to, work, on your creation or your series, it can continue to go on.
Well, we're going to come
I think
back to that because
sampling's a bad
I
argument.
understand what you're saying, and you're talking about the artist who created the material, utilizing that material as a base for replicating it, but with new stories. I think he or she or they own the artwork, so that's their own choice. Let me just say, Chris, did you want to add anything? Because then there's a gentleman who has his hand up.
First of all, thank you all for your commentary. That's fantastic. I would say that if we're looking at sampling, it's kind of sampling versus remixes, right? If the artist is using AI on his own work, he's remixing his own art, but what other art is coming in? See, the difference between sampling, where they played an actual record and you could recognize, oh, that's Sinatra tune, or that's an old Isaac Hayes tune, right? Here, AI has absorbed so many artists' styles, and I'm part of a class action suit because 2 of my novels were absorbed by AI as part of a huge absorption of all writing styles. So then when you ask AI to kick something out, it's not going to look exactly like Shawn's art, but Shawn might be able to see some of his elements in there and maybe some other people's elements in there. And then what rights does he have? He should have rights to a percentage of that art, or it's going to get harder and harder to discern whose art it is. So all of those artists whose work was sampled and mixed in a big stew, now they're competing with some kind of weird cloning of their own art. And that could very quickly get completely out of control. And I think that's one of the reasons why we need to look and figure out ways to protect ourselves, and also ways that we can move forward in different aspects. What is legal to use? What is respected to use for the artist to use their own art, or to do some research and then do their own art? Same thing with stories. Same thing. What's the questions with marketing? If you're an artist, can you use AI for bookkeeping? Can you use AI to market your original material? There's so many questions, and I'm a little concerned that it's getting ahead of us very quickly.
Oh, very easily. Yes, sir.
Yes, that was excuse me. That was a great segue. Original material, because I've had this conversation with other artists, and sometimes I get a bit snarky. I ask, "Are you an artist, or are you the tool?" Because if your job is to recreate someone else's idea already, how far are you from the AI? A lot of people who complain they're making their money off of drawing other characters, they're drawing other people's works, and Marvel and Disney have actually sued people for making tens of thousands of dollars on the convention floor off of Spider-Man. So at some point it's like, what are you selling? Your hand or your mind? Like, it's one thing, like, you would like say Shawn's art, they say, oh, Shawn draws his jawline like that. A lot of people might. Are they making his original artwork? Are they producing Street Team? Are they producing Eisen? It's got to come to a point where we're using our mind more than our hand. It's something I've learned in studying business. It's like, the lowest way you make money is with your body. You can only make money as hard as you can work. But if you can extend yourself and take the work outside of your body, like say, we were talking about having our own characters and then using the AI to animate our own characters. I've been thinking about making a lower, what's called a low-ranked adaptation, where you train the AI on the style so it only produces that style, which could have great legal ramifications for artists in the future if they can trademark their style because they've trained an AI to work within that and they can prove it based on their portfolio. But as artists, like we talk about the sci-fi analogies, in a world where there's a possible Terminator, we should be building mech suits, not turning off the computer. Because we're setting ourselves up to die at that point.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out a way to make it work for us. And so as artists, we have to get in the fight. Because if you're not in the fight, they're going to slap other people in your name. So we got to get in the fight and tell AI what we want it to do. And we have to make it accessible, but we also have to find ways to use it to defend ourselves. So I think that's where we, as artists, we need to kind of gear it to what can the AI do so that we can use it against itself. Like I was talking with a guy, and like one of the best things that we can use against AI is decentralization, NFTs, where the AI needs specific codes or keys to get into things, where it's like we already have a competitive technology to protect us from it, and we can also use it to extend ourselves. So yeah, there's a lot of things we as artists should get more into with how can we use it for ourselves to protect ourselves.
I mean, one way it's helped me to protect myself, since I'm so horrible on the business end of, you know, anything that I do, is having it look at contracts and, you know, can you explain this contract to me in a way that I'm gonna understand it from an artist's perspective, like what things are gonna benefit me and what language is kind of like, you know, not good for this arrangement. And it's helped me with being able to negotiate. At the same time, though, I think the thing that scares me is I had this friend. He did the posters for Stranger Things. You know, those Stranger Things posters that they with the art in the red and blue, and he got canned. They fired him. They trained their proprietary AI on his style, and they got rid of him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do you fight against that?
Well, now at this stage of the game, we don't have, but I think what you're saying is we need to get there.
Yes.
We need to seriously be looking at that because it's not going to go back in the bottle.
Yeah.
It's just not. Certainly with people trying to make money off of it. I'm sorry, Carla?
It's the same thing with, I mean, it's a tool. AI is a tool. Just like computers were a tool. I mean, when they first brought computers into elementary school, I was a Mac administrator in school, and I mean, you talk about people being terrified. They were oh, these children don't need to have open access. Well, they didn't need to have open access. They actually needed some limits. And at first, there were some teachers, oh, give the children open access. And we started getting kids downloading nudes and stuff.
Yeah.
and sending them to their home computer. Like you said, we need to put things, when using AI, there are things that can be put in place. So to protect, like one with our children, to protect them from using that instead of using their brains. It's like, yo, you have to be able to do this, this, and this in order to use the AI. The AI can be used as a tool and not used to do your whole paper. Yeah.
I love what everybody is saying, and I think one of the factors we got to look into, once again, the finances, right? It's going to take the artists and the consumers to help regulate each other. You know, as consumers, you got to stop accepting any and everything, and just being like, oh, I just want this drawing of Wolverine. I don't care who did it. I love Wolverine, so boom. And art is one of those things too where it's been devalued for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how much you charging to do that? Man, you know, I used to draw too, Shawn. But you don't draw. You know what I mean? So pay the artist what what they're worth.
Yeah.
But I had a friend that I have a friend.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. he sent me something the other day that it blew my mind. He took one of my pieces of artwork, he put it into Grok and animated it, and I felt like a kid. I was like, this is incredible, and I don't have the money to pay an animator. You know what I mean? So I know, hey, Shawn, just save up and do a Kickstarter, and then one day too you can have an animation. But I don't have, what I have to as an artist and think ethically to and say once again, how much am I going to use? AI in general, so many uses of it. We can get personal here. This is a safe space, right?
No. Right.
Get out, Alex.
Yeah.
So, I have a daughter, and I get along great with my child's mom. She doesn't get along great with me, and
wow, that's a
you know what I mean?
That's a nice way to put it.
Lean off to the side there.
I get along great with her.
Yeah.
But right now is a situation where she's not allowing me to have my daughter, right? To see my daughter. And she's about to be 7 this year, right?
Oh, man.
I hit up a lawyer. I was like, all right, enough is enough. Hit up a lawyer, and he was like, Shawn, I'm going to be very honest with you, right? I've seen people lose cases just because they run out of money. A case like this can go from 7,000 to 70,000. I said, what? I went into AI and asked, like, what are the steps for a dad? Because I called other places too, to try to find somebody in Philly that can help with custody battles, right? There's not a lot of resources out here for men. There are some, but not a lot of resources out here for a man that wants to get custody of his daughter. AI gave me a whole blueprint of the things to do if I want to go through, and it said, you can get a lawyer, yes, but here's the paperwork you would need, and here's the thing that you tell the judge first. And I'm like, this is incredible. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to do? And that's why I say this is a conversation that needs to be ever evolving. So
I'm sorry. There was 2 hands up there in the back. So this gentleman, and then the gentleman in the back. Okay.
I'm just going to quickly say, I think you said it in the beginning. Human beings, we're ethical and unethical. We've had this conversation with guns, swords, bows,
words,
hands,
yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
This is always going to be. It's how we choose as the greater group how we do this. All right. One thing I fear, especially working in a community that's minority based, is the fact that whenever new technology comes up, it's always fear mongered into us. It's gonna be like the Terminator. It's gonna be the boogeyman. With the young children that I'm working with right now, one of the things that scares me is I had a mom come in and say, I want my young son to get a job working at a barbershop this summer. I'm sorry, there's a young little boy and little girl that come in that's getting ready to create their own company, doing YouTube streaming and AI. They're the same age. We have these conversations, and we're always talking about generational wealth and having our children catch up. This is how. So it's I'm passionate about this. I'm not coming at anybody. I don't want nobody to think I'm coming at nobody.
As the brother said, it's a safe space. I'm not sure about him, but it's a safe space.
But can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Because, and this is not to come at you, brother. My brother. But, and I could be wrong with what I heard. There's nothing wrong with that woman wanting her child to do barber.
It's,
You know what I mean? Because so we have that side that they are the fearmongers, right? And then we have the other side that's we have to use it and make as much money as we can. We can't be left behind. So we gotta be careful with that.
Let me quickly add to that. She didn't want him to be a nerd.
Oh.
That's a little further down, right? Okay. She didn't want him engaging in
She
air.
didn't want him engaging in anything that seemed nerdish.
Oh, okay, that's
And that
You left out that component. Now I'm ready to go find something.
What I'm saying is to say that it's being perpetrated in our community. Don't be like that, because they're this way. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd, and I'm proud of it.
Hell yeah.
Let me-
wrong with it, baby.
No, Let me,
Nothing wrong with
the
it.
gentleman behind you,
So AI in itself, I'm partially unemployed now because of AI. I used to work in technology and all that software, cloud software, automation took over it. Plus, thank you to it. But how do you handle? There's a program called Pocket FM. Every time I hear that commercial, it's the same character, but in a different scenario. Every time I'm like, well, who would listen to this? I go downstairs, my sister and her girlfriend is listening to this stuff. I'm like, well, some people don't have that moral limit. Yeah, how are you going to deal with? You got a whole region, probably over in the east, that comes in. They don't have any moral qualms about copying and using artificial tech intelligence to create this stuff. I think Pocket FM might be a subsidiary of one of those 80 companies. And some of those, they're listening to this stuff for hours, and even some of them are paying for this stuff. So how will you deal with you an artist and those writers? I'm quite sure they got paid for the writing initially, but all the variations and the different kinds of stories they made. They had a character one time, it's called My Vampire System. And each time I listened to it, it was a white dude, British dude, black person. In every different scenario, the grandma was the main protagonist in something like that. So, how are you going to deal with that, especially stuff coming from overseas? Even with regulation, it's still going to seep in. And some people don't have problems. All they want is the end results, as you said before.
They want content.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess regulation would happen. You say you have to choose, but you also can't. Not only is AI taking over, the lower wage people over there taking over.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna throw two things out here. Then I'm gonna circle back around everybody. All right. So one, 1970. Yeah, it is. It don't matter. The 1970s, 1980s. I hung around with a lot of musicians, and I got to write couple of songs that actually got recorded, which was very exciting for me. Now, I had a volume of stuff that I wrote lyrically that never saw the light of day, right? But 2 or 3 things got out there, right? So 2 things. One, during that time period, a lot of my musician friends freaked out when the synthesizer kicked in. Because suddenly we don't have authentic sound. I got a keyboard, I can fake the sounds of 47 other instruments. Thank you, don't need you anymore. And folks freaked. It's the end of the actual violin, cello, grand piano, blah, blah, blah. No, it swung that way, and then it swung back, right? And at a certain point, they're out there now. They're both out there. It was hard. It was hard times for some musicians, and some didn't survive that time. For real, that's real. But hang on. The volume of stuff that I couldn't get a friend to give me like an hour of their time, right? Literally, I had a loose leaf notebook that I pulled out the other day, like a week ago. Saw these old lyrics that I hadn't looked at since 1980 something, and I went to Sonu, SONU, which is this electronic AI music, and I threw some of my lyrics in there. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, I was dressed when I did it. I threw some of my lyrics in there. I told it what kind of feel I thought might go with it, goofy or otherwise, and I said, okay, let's see what it does. Holy smoke, Jesus Christ. Now, I could hear the electronic aspects of it. I know that that's not a real person singing. So to me, I'm going, the kid in me, the person that was, running around trying to write songs in the late 70s, early 80s, is having a party in my body right now. I couldn't get any musicians to do diddly squat. Look at this. Here I am with all this now, right? And I'm just, yes! Now, am I going to now cut an album with this? Hell no.
No.
I got a draft of something that one day I hope to sit down with some real musicians. Note I say real musicians.
Yeah.
And see where this can really go.
That's
because the one thing missing from that music, which sounds beautiful, I kid you not, is heart, is soul, is those little inflections and nuances that the musicians are going to go, ooh, if I just do this. It's the same thing that happens with his art, with your art, with his writing. It's those things that we trained ourselves to look for and create and generate. And it's now a part of us that the machine didn't see, doesn't understand, can't do yet. So to me, what Chris has said about regulation and ethics, which is what I said, it's the job ahead of us. There's no getting away from this or around this. And I hear what you're saying, brother, about the mindsets of parents. We have to understand, and I'm not calling a color card out here at all. I'm talking about parents across the board.
Yeah.
Some of us were not prepared for that job. We got hurt coming up, and when we got our own kids, we shared some of that pain, or we shared some of that fear, and we steered them in a direction we thought would be safe, because we don't want them to go through what we went through, and by doing that, unfortunately, we constricted their possibilities. Unintentionally, but we did. And then there's the fools that I don't even want to talk about. So literally, it is our job, and I like to say this because I'm dramatic. On my watch, as long as I'm functional, my job is to figure as much of this out as I can. And maybe hand some sort of a blueprint back to this guy who's younger than me. Jesus. You know. And to my offsprings, because I can't call them kids anymore, right? And maybe, hopefully, they'll pick up the baton and they'll do better. But what I feel all of us are now saddled with, no matter how we feel about AI, is what do we do? And again, Chris has said this a bunch of times. What are we supposed to do? Let's start answering that question. Or to quote the old Japanese phrase, let's fix the problem, not the blame. Okay. Chris, did you want to add anything to this?
It's admirable that you rocked out to your old songs in the privacy of your own home. And we all thank you for that. We are also very, very happy there was no video of that. But
I'm not. I want to see that. I want to hear it.
But for every one Alex Simmons, and ladies and gentlemen, we do have to remind everybody that this is legendary icon Alex Simmons. For every one of the Alex Simmonses out there, there's 100 who say, well, I'm going to put that out. I know it in the independent book publishing industry. There are people, especially in stuff like romance and action, where they just have a formula. And there's authors who put out 10 to 20 books a month. They can't humanly do that. They rip off the artists for the cover. They don't do any proofreading, and they send it out, and they're flooding the market. We're going to go through a period where there's going to be a lot of crap out there, just like we went through a period in the 80s where every song sounded like it had synthesizers everywhere. And then those things stopped selling. And people said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to the musicians. Oh, yeah. You know, so us, the people who are a little older, this might be our last 20 or 30 years of creativity. We got to keep going and figure out how we can swim through it. But eventually, the next generation is going to say, well, we're not going to participate in that kind of, consumerism. We want this other thing. So we just have to figure out how to get it as best we can and allow ourselves to sleep at night without completely losing our market share, because there are a ton of people who are flooding our markets with crap. So don't buy crap, ladies and gentlemen. Buy from the creative community.
Don't get no crap here. Look, we got this gentleman in the back, and then
just real quick. One saving grace that you probably want to keep in mind is that AI is far more expensive than they let you on. Right now, it's almost a dog and pony show. So it may end up costing you all these people that's using it for free. It's going to probably end up costing them. They're going to start raising prices and raising prices. It's probably going to eventually be cheaper to actually use human, regular artists than using AI. Because this stuff is far more expensive. Making people electric rates go up, gas rates, and stuff like that, and taking up hardware, like to build computers. RAM went up so much, you can't go, went up about 400% probably in some areas. So different computer parts is causing all the devices to go be extra expensive, even in your cars. So that's going to be a saving grace, and more than likely something to look forward to in the future. I can't guarantee that, but right now it's more expensive than leading on. What you tell me.
I got you.
Yeah.
OpenAI starting to fall apart, and all of the other main companies are too.
Shawn wanted to say something, and I have one quick thing, and then I'll take whatever and we'll say goodbye. So Shawn, I'm sorry.
No, after Shawn.
Oh, after Shawn.
After Shawn, I'll say my.
Okay, after Shawn, then.
I'll make it quick. To jump off of what Chris said.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
As far as not supporting the garbage and the crap out there, for any of the creators that are going to utilize that percentage regulation and be like, all right, I only use it as a tool to do this, but I'm doing the rest. Put out some original material. And when I say original, don't regurgitate, what's popular at Marvel, what's popular now, just do that search. Still try to put some effort into making it as original as possible, because I think that's what's going to separate you then from the person that is pumping out 10 novels a month of nonsense. Try to put some kind of creativity behind it.
Yeah, some authenticity.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, I was looking for the town. I heard something in the news the other day. this power company, it was like in another part of the country, basically has dropped its consumers, like the people in this city. It just stopped. It's going to be cutting off power to them so it can reroute it to data centers. So I think there's also the environmental concerns that that are really causing some issues, some cause for concern.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I want to just throw out this other thought too. Something I wrote on LinkedIn a few days ago, and this is a more like a question or a thumbnail sketch if you want to look at it that way. One of the things about AI is, yes, you can reach out, and I've done it. You can reach out and say, I need a picture of such and such, black and white line work, blah blah blah, and boom, it's there. And
extra fingers and toes, please.
yes, yeah, no, that costs extra. But what I said was, one of the things that one could do as artists, you have a bevy, a vault of sketches and drawings and things that you've created over the years that you could begin to divide up as in single illustrations, pages, whatever, and create a vault, an online vault in which someone could come to you directly to buy your images off of whatever, reasonable price one could come up with, where it could even be a subscription, right? Somebody, signs up and, for you for like the next 3 months, I'm going to pay you $15 a month so I can dip into the black and white line work of your vault, blah, 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 and use that instead of going to this technological scenario and do that. I'm not saying that is the way to beat it out completely, but if you're going to talk about the difference between, the small TV stations across the country that are, streaming certain things and NBC, CBS, you're always going to have big corporations and you're going to have little people. And so maybe one way of us pushing back a little, or at least cutting putting our cart out on the street, outside this big restaurant, is creating some sort of subscription or some sort of online where people can come to us to buy that, and nobody's buying my art, but come to us to buy your illustrations. And it can be a lot of the stuff you've already used, that's already been paid for, that you own.
Can I say one more quick thing?
You can say many more quick things.
Just one.
Yeah.
I will say too, I think one of the keys is, as creators, whoever in here is a creator, learn to be comfortable with what you view as success. I think that is a key in any kind of business, right? Because if you're just chasing the money and you're just chasing the fame and you want to chase the end result, well, I got a book done at least, but if it's not good, but you're making a lot of money, that's your world, your life. But I look at it as music, and there's a lot of music out now that I think personally is garbage. I grew up in an age of, Nas and Wu-Tang and lyricists, you know what I mean? And some people might say, well, they're not making a lot of money, Shawn. And for me, I don't care. You know what I mean? That's what I go to for a certain level of what I think, skill, wordplay, whatever. And me as an artist, I may not be making a whole bunch of money. I feel better about myself knowing that I did a certain amount of this work myself, and it's from me. So you have to choose what success looks like for you, and stop worrying about everybody else and what their output is and how much money they're making. I think we got to change.
Be an artist, not just an influencer.
Yeah. Change our views of success, and that's going to lead to.
What time do we have?
401.
401. So we have a couple of minutes. Anybody want to add to that? Share? Yeah.
I think sampling, one of the things about sampling artists, music, they normally get their things patented and everything. So if you use just a piece of it, you got to pay them. Even if they come on a commercial, you got to pay for it. And I think with creators, with artists, have it patented. If you use his nose, have it patented. Have an attorney, so if they go back and say, oh yeah, there goes his nose, you can always take it back, and you can always have yourself covered, because I think with AI, just like they're going to cover themselves, now y'all have to cover yourselves.
Yeah.
Y'all have to cover
There's
yourselves.
business. There's
So
business.
It's a business, because if you don't, they will steal it from you. And that's just how society is. I mean, I use AI, but I use it for business purposes, like how can I sue somebody? Well, how can I do this? And I do. But when it comes to artwork, I don't feel good that somebody is, like you said, the gentleman took your work and he made it
He animated it, yeah.
No, dude, you would have to pay me because you just can't have my artwork.
I mean, he sent it to me as like, yo, look at this. You know, if he didn't try to sell it, but
He
yeah.
didn't. But you know what? Before he does, you need to go ahead and have it patented right now, because you never know what he's going to do down the line. Because we're all human. Copyrighted. You never know what
Nobody
we're
lives.
down the line.
Yeah, you know where he lives, right?
Yeah.
I got a key to his house.
It's not him that does it. Once you put it in that system, it's already shared out
That's it.
through
Yeah.
through the computers, through the servers and stuff.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I just want to pick up on what the sister said. I agree. Content and protecting your content has always been something, a huge issue. Whether we're talking about hip hop or jazz or whatever, the artists have always been taken advantage of. Always. Just like right now, I think with a lot of us just in this room, we should trademark our own voices.
Yes.
Just our own voices, because that is happening now.
Yeah, man.
It's going to happen. You're going to have and hear your voice somewhere and be like, how is that?
I don't know whose voice that was. I listened to those songs that I was rocking out to that you don't want to see me do. But one of them had a gospel flavor, and I'm telling this person was all over the notes. I'm going, okay, somewhere in South Carolina, there's a Baptist church that, it's real. I mean, it's very real.
Yeah, scammers can replicate your voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole thing again, and I don't know if maybe we're only looking at AI because we are artists at this exact point, looking at it this way, but it's been in our lives for at least a decade. At least a decade that we know of, right? Lord knows what before that. Every single time we use these things, we use our credit cards or whatever, someone can keep track, whatever. So we have opened the back door.
I thought, actually, you know where I thought you were
Don't
going?
scare
Alex,
me like
sorry.
that.
You know where I thought you were going is that, where's the line then as far as how much AI is incorporated into everything we already do? We're looking at it in this one specific lens as creators.
See, I was trying not to open that big right now.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once again, the big sin, little sin. If we're saying, oh, well, we're not going to use it for this, but we use AI in these other ways.
Okay, so Google search. Anybody use Google search?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, there you go. That's one.
That's
one.
But that's not generative AI.
No, but it's
right.
AI. It's a relative.
Right.
It's a relative. So you're going to talk to the cousin, but not the uncle?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Well, all right.
But just being clear. Yeah.
I'm not an artist.
Hang on.
So therefore, for the people in the room who are artists, I apologize for what I'm about to say. I'm trying to start a homeless organization, so I'm using AI for business, but I got this idea of making pictures and doing animation and making stories to be able to make money so that I can put the money into my nonprofit. So that's the thought that I have in my head. After listening to this conversation, because I'm not, like an artist, so I'm not looking at it in the sense that you're looking at it, because like I can't draw a picture at all. I have to totally tell AI make it, and that's how I would have to do it. But this is all very interesting to me, the pros and the cons. Okay, I'm looking at it just, how can I make money?
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing too. I think Chris had said this a little while ago. Again, it goes back to ethics and justifications and all that. Where do we draw the line? What are going to be the rules? And even as I said a little while ago about the aspect of, okay, if I'm really great as a writer or an illustrator, but I suck as a marketer, am I allowed to or not allowed to? You're going to have to make these calls for yourself. The fact that you got a Thanos thing going on here, that it's like Thanos in the movies. We don't have enough resources for the entire world, so I'm going to wipe out half of it. Okay, I'm not thrilled with your. I get what you're saying, but you want to do it. You want to use it to make money to help people.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to be pissed at you for that.
It's quite easy.
Well, it's easy for Shawn, but
no, I'm
a different dude.
I know her. I love
I'm a different dude.
I love her. But I thought it was love, but that was.
Well, I mean, you know what? Then talk to Sean about doing the drawing.
We gotta
for you.
be
There you
right.
go.
There's
There you go.
ways that we gotta
There you
try
go.
to
There
find
you go.
to do
But
something.
anyway, again, I want to thank everybody. You have been really, really, really
Clap up for
wonderful.
yourself.
Really, really.
Good conversation.
I think if nothing else, we have a lot to think about. As Chris said, we have a lot to talk about. What is that saying here? Accept, decline, whatever. I don't know what that's doing. I'll figure that out later. Somebody check AI for that word. But again, Sean's going to be around here. You're going to be. You're at the table just outside. Sean, you're on the other side.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to be
and
leaving
I'm
to go
doing a
have dinner with
panel
my
at
daughter. I'm
5.
talking here.
Sorry,
What is wrong with
I
you?
just, I'm
Yeah.
It's going
See,
to
look at that. You see that? I'm leaving in a few minutes to go have dinner with my daughter. He will be here. Go ahead. What's the panel you're gonna do? Chris, you see what kind of respect I get here? Okay.
I don't want to do this, but I don't get to see my daughter. Alex, I don't want to. No, it's not doing that.
No, it's not happening. The nuns was it. Yeah.
The 5 o'clock the Zion Network Hour is going to be me and my boy Omar. We're going to be doing some trivia. We're going to have some fun. You know, we had some serious conversations here, but we're going to bring back to just, you know, having a little bit of, you know, love. I'm going to be giving away a bunch of prizes. It's going to be in the conference room down there. So come through. We're going to be having a little. Yeah. Come 5 o'clock, 5 to 6.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you again. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Philly.
Welcome.